How's it going, guys? My name is Chris and welcome to an opinion piece with Hose5. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Star Wars Battlefront Alpha or Beta, I guess, that we've been playing at Tokyo Game Show this week. So I've managed to have a playthrough of the Hoth Assault mission so far, and that's what I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on today. So for the Hoth Assault mission, I was playing as the Rebels, maintaining 6 different uplink points around the Hoth base. It's a time-based challenge where you essentially have to stop 2 AT-AT walkers before they reach the Hoth base power source. When the Rebel team maintained these 6 uplink points, it allowed for your team to essentially attack the AT-ATs after a Y-wing strike had been coordinated. So that was the reason behind getting those uplinks maintained. Once the strike has been hit, the AT-ATs are vulnerable to general gunfire as well as your rocket launchers and any other ships that are up in the air at the time on your team. The Empire's goal is essentially to counteract all of these things and ensure that the AT-ATs can have a clean run all the way through to the Hoth power source without any interruptions from base fixtures around the Rebel side and without any interruptions from the uplink. So as long as the Empire does their job, it's a pretty clean run all the way through. The Empire's power is definitely their AT-AT vehicles. They can take a huge amount of damage, even despite the Y-wings giving them a barrage of attacks throughout the entire game. They are only weak whenever they have been shocked by the Y-wing attacks, so once there's some electricity sparking around the actual walker, that is when you can do any damage. So it can take damage, as said before, from general gunfire, grenades, and even the cable attacks from the snow speeders. So if you do end up landing one of those properly, you could probably end the game very quickly if you're skilled enough to be able to pull that off, although it is a difficult maneuver from what we've seen in demo gameplay so far. Other elements in the game that made things more balanced for either side of the team were some of the random drops that were around the map. So other things you could pick up, whilst I know on the Rebel side you were able to pick up things such as the smart missiles, which were able to do damage to the AT-ATs as they were just walking in general. You could also use those to shoot down enemy ships, although I didn't see them being used on infantry. On the Imperial side, I know they could also pick up the smart missiles as well as a weapon called the Thermal Imploder, which is a massive, basically a supercharged thermal detonator, which is just a massive area of effect that takes out a lot of infantry. So very effective items on both sides of the teams, I guess, offensive and defensive. And if used properly, can change the pace of the battle and turn the tide in either side's favor. Other elements of the game that changed the pace of the battle were the ships that you could use along the top of Hoth. So on the Imperial side you had your TIE fighters as standard, and on the Rebel side you're able to use your snow speeders and the X-wings. The Y-wings weren't playable and they were just for the strike that was coordinated by the uplink that you could set up. The ships in general, the overall feel from what feedback I've gotten is that they were smooth and free to fly up in the air. Using them down towards the ground is a little bit more difficult to try and maneuver and shoot infantry on the ground, so it seems like it's something that is more useful up in the sky and defending with other ships that are around in the air. The tokens around the battlefield for the weapons and the ship pickups you could get moved along kind of in reference to a rush style gameplay from Battlefield, if you're familiar with that, so it wasn't in an unfair position or behind where everything is happening whilst the game has progressed. Another element that made the ships more balanced and not such an overpowered choice if you are skilled at flying them is the option with the flight speed to balance out your power for your blasters. So if you are flying a ship, no matter what model or what side you're on, the faster you fly, the less power goes to your blasters and vice versa. So if you slow your ship right down, you'll have an incredible amount of firepower, but you'll be obviously a lot more vulnerable sitting down at a slow speed. This made the flights and I guess the aerial fighting a lot more interesting, a lot more balanced, and if you get into depth with it a bit more, and especially in the aerial assault that you'll be able to do later on, it adds a lot more strategy and a lot more thought into the gameplay overall. Touching on the infantry side of gameplay again, either side had 2 different classes to choose from. The class that I used the most myself was one that had a thermal detonator, a personal shield, and a smart missile on hand. 2 of these items are ones that will regenerate over time, being the thermal detonator and the personal shield. So as you use these items, you will see a small bar kind of fill up again after a short period of time, so you can continue to use these items instead of picking them up throughout the battlefield. The similar kind of concept is used with the blaster rifles, where you don't have to reload these items, but if you shoot them for too long, they will overheat and you have to let them cool down. This is also indicative in their actual gun stats, so you can see how quickly a gun will cool down if you shoot it for too long. As more classes are released, when the game moves along a little bit more further into the beta side of things, we'll see many more different ways to play, but the classes that they gave us at the late alpha that we got to play at TGS gave the game plenty of variety as it was, and I'm very keen to see what else comes along as the game progresses further to a full release date. As a brief summary from my experience overall, I had an absolute blast playing the game. It was an incredibly big nostalgia trip, hearing all of the different sound effects again. DICE and EA overall have done an incredible job at staying true to the films, and just everything about the game so far feels really authentic, right down to, you know, your blaster sounds, the way that everything behaves around your environment. Everything looks the same as the movie as well, like sitting in the hangar bays and walking out on the snow. It's like you're in the movie, and they've done an incredibly good job, and you can really see how much effort they've put into making the detail in the game reflected from the film. So very, very keen to see the final game come out. I hope you've liked this quick overview. I thought I'd do something after TGS so you guys could hear what I think about it, and I've filmed a little bit of, I guess, clips throughout the show that you may have seen earlier on in this video. Hope you like this, and stay tuned for a little bit more coverage for TGS, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!